In 2023, a Federal Reserve survey found that 37% of American adults could not cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something. Let that land for a second. Not 4%, not a fringe statistic. More than 1 in 3 adults in one of the wealthiest countries on earth are one car repair, one medical bill, one broken appliance away from financial crisis. And here's what makes that number truly uncomfortable. Most of those people are not lazy. They're not irresponsible. Many of them are working full-time. Some are working 2 jobs. They just were never taught how money actually works. Picture someone right now. Maybe it's someone you know. Maybe it's you a few years ago, sitting at a kitchen table on a Sunday night, opening a banking app, watching the balance tick down towards zero 4 days before payday, running the same mental calculation they run every week, robbing one bill to pay another, telling themselves that things will be different when I earn more. But the raise comes, and somehow the balance still hits zero 4 days before payday. That's not a math problem. That's a system problem. And systems can be changed, even when you're starting with almost nothing. Here's the conversation nobody has with people who are struggling financially. We tell them to spend less. We tell them to budget better. We give them spreadsheets. And when the spreadsheet doesn't fix it, we quietly imply it must be a discipline problem, a character flaw. If they just had more willpower, they'd figure it out. But here's what the behavioral economics research actually shows, and this is backed by decades of academic work, including studies out of Princeton and Harvard. Financial stress itself impairs cognitive function. When your brain is consumed by scarcity, by constantly calculating whether you have enough, it consumes mental bandwidth that would otherwise go toward long-term planning, decision-making, and creative problem-solving. In other words, being broke makes it harder to think your way out of being broke. That's not an excuse. It's a neurological reality, and understanding it changes everything about how you approach fixing the situation. The solution isn't to somehow summon unlimited willpower in an environment designed to drain it. The solution is to build tiny, almost invisible systems that work in the background, systems so small they don't require willpower at all. And this is where most personal finance content fails people who are genuinely starting from zero. It assumes a baseline level of financial stability that a huge portion of the audience doesn't have. It says max out your Roth IRA to someone who can't cover rent. So today, I want to do something different. I want to give you 5 specific, concrete, low-barrier things you can do to start building real wealth, even if your bank account is close to empty right now. Not inspirational slogans, not vague advice, actual mechanics. My name is Alex, and I spend a lot of time thinking about money, investing, and why most people struggle financially without ever realizing why. Today, I'm going to show you 5 simple ways to start building wealth, and I mean genuinely simple, designed specifically for people who are starting from the bottom. Before we get into the 5, I want to establish one principle that runs through all of them. Wealth is not built in dramatic moments. It is not built by a single great investment or one courageous financial decision. It is built by a series of small, consistent behaviors that compound over time. Behaviors so small they seem almost meaningless in any individual moment, but that accumulate into something profound over years. The goal right now is not to get rich. The goal is to stop the bleeding, build a foundation, and put in place the first handful of habits that make everything else possible later. With that framing, here's the first one. Stop paying yourself last. This is the foundational behavior that almost every person who has ever built wealth from scratch has in common, and almost nobody who stays broke does. The default financial behavior for most people works like this. Income comes in, expenses go out, and whatever is left over, if anything, gets saved. Saving is the last thing that happens, which means in most months, saving never happens at all because something always absorbs what's left. Flip it. The moment any money enters your account, any money at all, a fixed percentage leaves immediately and goes somewhere you don't easily touch, before rent, before groceries, before anything. This is what financial planners call pay yourself first, but I want you to think of it differently. Think of it as paying your future self, the version of you who will need options, flexibility, and security that your current self can't yet imagine. Now, the number people always argue about is the percentage. The classic advice is 20%. But if you're broke, 20% might be genuinely impossible right now, and that's fine. Start with 1%. On a $2,000 paycheck, 1% is $20. $20. That goes into a separate account, ideally a high-yield savings account where it earns something automatically the moment your paycheck lands. You will not feel $20, but $20 a month becomes $240 a year. $240 becomes your first emergency fund buffer, and the act of doing it, of being someone who saves before spending, rewires how you relate to money more than the dollar amount does. Increase it by 1% every 3 months. You'll barely notice each increment, but a year from now, you'll be saving 5%. 2 years later, 9%. The percentage is not the point yet. The identity shift is the point. Kill your most expensive small habit. This one is going to feel uncomfortable. Good. That means it's real. Most people have at least one recurring small expense that feels completely harmless in isolation, but is quietly extracting a significant amount of money every single month. A daily coffee order, a streaming service they forgot about, a gym membership that hasn't been used since February, food delivery apps charging convenience fees on top of inflated prices on top of tips. I'm not here to tell you that lattes are why you're not wealthy. That argument is famously reductive. But I am going to tell you this. When you're starting from zero, every dollar has a job to do, and a dollar paying for something you don't consciously value anymore has the wrong job. Spend 15 minutes this week doing one thing. Go through your last 2 bank statements and highlight every recurring charge, every subscription, every automatic renewal, everything. Now ask one question about each. If this disappeared tomorrow, would I notice? If the answer is no, cancel it immediately. Not think about canceling it. Cancel it today. If the answer is kind of, give it a 30-day test. Use it intentionally for 30 days, then decide. The average American carries between 12 and 15 active subscriptions. Research from C+R Research found that people underestimate their monthly subscription spending by an average of $133. That's $1,596 a year walking out the door invisibly on things many of them don't actively use or even remember paying for. Redirect that money, even a portion of it, into the account you set up from way one. Build a $1,000 wall first. Before investing, before debt payoff strategy, before anything else that personal finance people argue about, you need a wall. A financial wall is your first emergency fund, not a full 6-month emergency fund. That's the eventual goal, but it feels impossibly far away when you're starting from nothing. Just $1,000. $1,000 in a separate account that you do not touch except for a genuine emergency. Here's why this changes everything psychologically and practically. Without a small buffer, every unexpected expense, every car repair, every medical copay, every broken appliance goes on a credit card, and credit card debt at 20 to 29% interest is one of the most destructive financial forces available to ordinary people. It doesn't just cost you money, it costs you future options. Every month you carry a balance is a month where a portion of your income is going backward instead of forward. The $1,000 wall stops that cycle, not completely, not forever, but it eliminates the small emergencies from becoming credit events. So how do you build it when you have nothing left over? Here's where I want you to think differently. The $1,000 doesn't have to come purely from monthly savings. It can come from one-time sources, selling things you own but don't use, electronics, clothes, furniture, sports equipment, a few hours of freelance work in a weekend, a tax refund directed entirely into this account instead of spent. 1 year of redirecting that refund into a $1,000 emergency fund changes your financial floor permanently. Once you hit $1,000, you protect it like it matters, because it does. Invest in your earning power before the market. This is the wealth-building lever that almost nobody talks about in beginner finance content and is possibly the highest return investment available to someone who is truly starting from zero. Here is the honest reality. If you're earning $30,000 a year, investing $50 a month is meaningful behaviorally. It builds the habit, it builds the identity, but the math is limited. The most powerful financial move someone at the beginning of their income journey can make is to increase the income itself. And in 2026, the pathways to do that have never been more accessible. A specific skill that takes 60 to 90 days to learn can meaningfully increase your earning power, not hypothetically, concretely. Think about what that looks like practically. Learning basic data analysis in Excel or Google Sheets, free resources on YouTube, makes someone more valuable in almost any administrative or operations role. Learning to write clearly and persuasively can open freelance copywriting at $30 to $50 an hour with no degree required. Learning basic video editing, again, free tutorials, is a skill that small businesses are paying hundreds of dollars per project for right now because the demand for video content has exploded and the supply of competent editors is still catching up. A Harvard Business Review analysis found that the return on investment for upskilling, measured in income increase relative to time invested, outperforms stock market returns in the short to medium term for people in the early stages of their careers. The point is not to quit your job tomorrow. The point is to begin deliberately developing one skill over the next 90 days that has a clear path to more income, whether that's a promotion, a better job, or a side income that starts small and grows. Every additional $200 a month in income invested consistently over 30 years becomes approximately $452,000 at an 8% historical return. You're not just earning $200 more, you're buying $452,000 in future wealth. Way 5. Use time as your primary asset. 6:30 to 7:30. Once you have the habit from Way 1, a small buffer from Way 3, and ideally some momentum on income from Way 4, it's time to put whatever small amount you can into the market, because here's the truth that the wealthy understand, and most people never act on. Time is worth more than money in the context of investing, significantly more. We touched on this in the compound interest math, but I wanted to be visceral with one specific scenario. Two people, same outcome, $0 invested right now. Person A starts investing $100 a month at age 22 and stops completely at age 32. 10 years of contributions. Total invested, $12,000. 10 years of early action. Then they never invest another dollar, just let it sit. Person B doesn't start until age 32. They invest $100 a month all the way until age 62. 30 years of contributions. Total invested, $36,000. 3 times as much actual money put in. At age 62, at an 8% average return, who has more? Person A, approximately $207,000 from just $12,000 in 10 years of early action. Person B, approximately $150,000 from $36,000 of disciplined contributions over 3 decades. The person who started early and stopped wins by $57,000 despite contributing a third as much money. That is what compounding does when given enough time. It makes early action worth more than sustained effort started late. The practical takeaway? Open a brokerage account or a tax-advantaged retirement account this week. Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard all have 0 minimums. Put in whatever you can, $10, $25, $50. Buy a total market or S&P 500 index fund. Set up an automatic monthly contribution for whatever amount doesn't hurt too much, and then leave it alone. Not because watching it is wrong, but because the urge to react to short-term movements is the single most common way ordinary investors destroy their own returns. Set it, automate it, ignore it, except for twice-yearly check-ins. Behavior design. Let me be honest about why most people read or watch something like this and still don't act. It's not because the information is unclear. You understand it, the math makes sense, the logic is sound, and you will close this video, go about your day, and the momentum will quietly die, not because you're lazy, but because your environment is not designed for this. The apps on your phone are designed to make you spend. The stores are designed to make you spend. The social feeds are designed to make you feel like you're behind and need to buy something to catch up. Intention without architecture fails every time. So here is the architecture. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, do 3 things.
Open a high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Set up a $20 automatic transfer for your next payday. Go through your subscriptions and cancel one thing you don't use. 3 actions, 30 minutes. That is the entire cost of beginning. The wealth doesn't start when the account balance gets impressive. The wealth starts the moment you decide that your financial future is something you are actively building, not something that is happening to you. Conclusion. I want to leave you with something that I think about a lot. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and catastrophically underestimate what they can do in 10. A year from now, $20 a month in savings feels like nothing, but 10 years of compounding habits, of gradually increasing contributions, of redirecting subscriptions into investments, of developing a skill that earns more, of letting compound growth do its slow and powerful work, 10 years of that is an almost unrecognizable financial life. You are not behind. You are exactly where every person who eventually figured this out once was. The ones who made it weren't smarter, they weren't luckier, they just started with what they had, where they were, when it felt too small to matter. Wealth built from nothing is built one invisible decision at a time. The $20 transfer, the canceled subscription, the skill learned on a Tuesday night, the index fund contribution that feels too small to be serious. None of those moments feel like turning points when you're in them. Until one day, years from now, you look at the number in your account and realize that every single one of them was. Outro/CTA. If something in this video shifted how you think about money, hit the like button. It takes 1 second, and it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. And if you want the next step, I made a video walking through exactly how to open your first investment account, what to buy first, and how to structure your money so it grows automatically. It's linked right here. I'll see you there.